Coming up on Monday, August 3rd, TYT is going to be airing Parkland Rising. This is a new documentary that profiles the 2018 mass shooting that took place at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School that tragically took the lives of 17 individuals, including one, Jaime, the daughter of our guest who joins us once again on the show, Fred Guttenberg. Welcome to the Damage Report.
How are you doing?
We're glad to have you on. As always, unfortunate topic, but you've been engaged in a number of different efforts to try to bring a little bit more justice to the world in this area of needless gun violence. And the most recent, Parkland Rising. Tell me a little bit about the documentary, how it got started, and what you're hoping it'll accomplish.
You know, you've spoken to some of the people who were involved in putting it together. What was amazing about them and others who came into our community was just the determination and the desire to tell the story of what happened there, to ensure it doesn't get forgotten, to make sure that the reality of gun violence in our community and in all communities across this country is told. Because the day of being able to say, you know, that's, that happened there, and then move on is over. The voices coming out of Parkland, the stories coming out of Parkland, the reality that there were kids in that school who had the wherewithal to record what was happening while it was happening, has made this a different conversation forever. And the truth is, because of what happened in Parkland, the gun safety movement is succeeding across this country because of the stories that have been told and continue to be told. The gun safety movement is moving forward in this country, in city after city, state after state. And after November 3rd, we're gonna be able to do this in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, you're totally right. This sort of documentary hopefully will get people thinking about that horrible day, but also what has been accomplished, following it from some of the amazing activism that we've seen, from the initial days on until today and continuing. I would say it's been basically 2 years now. I am surprised that in America, which is a country that it ignores most of what's bad that's going on, and the stuff that it acknowledges, it moves on from very quickly. I feel like this is really an event that is still in people's minds. That
it is.
Thanks to people like you, but also the younger activists too. Like you fought to make sure that people can't do what they generally do.
Well, I appreciate that. It's also because gun violence keeps on happening.
Yeah.
It's because 40,000 people a year are dying, and this year that's gonna be even higher than that. It's because we're now seeing the reality that while we're in this pandemic, this administration unleashed a gun surge on America that's having real consequences. Those guns are getting used. And so I can tell you, I'm never gonna shut up about this. I'm never gonna stop working to ensure we elect the right people because of what happens in this country, what happened to my daughter and 16 others, but 40,000 others, and those aren't all homicide, over half of those are suicide, but that's gun violence.
Yeah.
And so I think we've shown the country you don't have to sit down quietly and just assume this is okay.
Yeah.
We're going to fix this.
Well, let's talk about one recent effort that you have to that effect of not just sitting down. You have this FTC complaint against Smith & Wesson, you along with 2 different gun safety groups. So what's the goal there?
To hold those manufacturers accountable for the death they bring to our streets. Here's a fact, okay? Those manufacturers use their marketing dollars to sell more and more of those weapons, and they're selling them to kids. Their advertising, their marketing, their promotion is geared at kids. And one of those kids bought one and used it to kill my daughter. Now, in the United States of America, we currently have a law called PLACA, which protects these gun manufacturers from lawsuits, from liability. A guy like me can't go and say, you went ahead and actively sold that gun to this child. What did you do to ensure that child wouldn't use that gun on my daughter? I can't sue them for that because they're protected. So I went to the FTC and we filed a complaint. And we're going to hold them accountable. What do I ultimately hope to approve? I want to get those CEOs of those businesses under oath to tell what they were planning, what they thought, why they did it, and why they didn't do anything to protect those that we love from the consequences of their business decisions.
Yeah. I'm curious. You sort of alluded to this, but it's now 95 days until the election. Between now and then, Donald Trump's not going to do anything to rein in gun violence. He's doing everything he can to increase sales, despite the fact that in a previous life he was against assault rifles in the same way that he used to be pro-choice, and then he reinvented himself to become president. If Donald Trump loses, Biden becomes president, what are your hopes? What are your expectations for what can be accomplished in this area during that time?
Well, first things first. Every one of us in this country, anyone hearing this, needs to do everything in their power every second of every day to ensure Joe Biden becomes our next president, to ensure the Senate flips. Because this is not like other elections where it's on the edges, where they're kind of all the same and you have to hold your nose. No, the differences are clear and stark. If Biden becomes our next president, we will be able to do gun safety in the United States of America. We will be able to do things like repeal PLACA, pass background checks, raise the age to 21, things that pass red flag laws, things that will save lives. If Donald Trump is the victor, not only will gun safety not get done, the court will end up being pushed further to the right, and it'll be a non-conversation for generations. I don't mean to be stark. I want people to be so concerned that they are determined to vote, no matter what their circumstances. The only chance Donald Trump has to win right now, because he knows he can't win any other way, is to make you afraid to vote. Don't be afraid. Be afraid of the consequences if you don't vote. Your vote is everything, and you got to get out there and you got to make sure you do it.
Exactly, and for many of you who thankfully live in states that have mail-in voting, make sure that you keep apprised of the dates, because sometimes you do have to register early or request it early. So definitely do that if you're concerned about voting in person, which I totally understand, because the government is doing effectively nothing to make the situation on the ground in terms of public health better by November 3rd than it is today. Definitely look into mail-in voting. The book is Find the Helpers, coming out, I believe, on September 15th, right?
September 15th. Available right now on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and the independent bookstore links. So I hope people will take a look at it.
I hope so as well. And also Monday, August 3rd, TYT will be airing Parkland Rising. So everyone definitely, it's not far off. Check that out as well. Fred, as always, we appreciate your time. We know you've got a lot of irons in the fire.
Thank you, and I appreciate you all a whole lot. So thank you.
Thank you. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.